Now, folks, all I know is just what little news I read every day in the papers. Everybody's talking about what's the matter with this country and what the country needs. What this country needs, worse than anything else, is a place to park your car. What our big cities need is another orange in these orangeade stands.
In the year 1900, the United States had 4,000 cars and 20 million horses. Gasoline was still considered a waste byproduct from making kerosene. At depots on the edge of town, fuel was transferred from large storage tanks into glass or metal dispensers, and then poured by hand. Pioneering motorists had to take a bucket to their general, hardware, drugstore, or local refinery. It was inconvenient and dangerous. Although when the first gas pump was invented 5 years later, the U.S. was manufacturing 25,000 cars, and things picked up in 1908 with Henry Ford's Model T. It was the first affordable car, mass-produced on moving assembly lines with interchangeable parts. Dealers, grocers, hardware stores, and other businesses installed pumps out front, selling gas at the curbside. By 1910, there were more than 500,000 cars on American roads. The following year, the U.S. Supreme Court declared John D. Rockefeller's Standard Oil a monopoly. Its breakup boosted gas station growth. The first true gas stations appeared during the 1910s in an effort to meet petroleum demands. In 1913, the Gulf Refining Company opened the nation's first drive-up service station in Pittsburgh. On the first day, they sold 30 gallons of gas for 27 cents per gallon. The station became known for its free road maps. Many early stations were shacks with wood or corrugated metal exteriors. More substantial designs featured metal panels, steel windows, and limited ornament. They were utilitarian buildings used for storage, offices, and a station attendant. Pumps were placed immediately adjacent to the structure, or separated on the lot by a driveway where cars parked to refuel. Seven years later, Pittsburgh would be the site of radio history, when KDKA broadcast the election returns of 1920.
This is KDKA of the Westinghouse Electric and Manufacturing Company in East Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We shall now broadcast the election returns.
In the early 1920s, oil companies, distributors, and entrepreneurs were building stations in growing residential communities. Lubrication and maintenance was added to the menu. As business increased, so did local complaints about the intrusion. However, the automobile was here to stay. In response, the industry made stations look less like shacks and more like houses. They now had consumer areas, restrooms, and service bays. In 1929, there were more than 120,000 filling stations, totaling nearly $2 billion in sales.
Now, in those days, you didn't clear any songs. Nothing was cleared. No censorship. And so we did the broadcast. I picked out a bunch of songs, went for half an hour. And the next day I came into the club and there were 12 letters on the desk, the captain's desk, and they were all addressed to me. And these letters all said, "Who are you? You are different. 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 Different." And the simple explanation was that in those days you heard Lopez from the Pennsylvania sing, this is Lopez speaking, Ben Dwayne saying Yowzer from the Roosevelt Hotel, all playing the same cut-and-dried stock arrangements of all the show tunes, all the popular tunes of the day, but the simple stock arrangement. Nobody had a special arrangement. We couldn't play the arrangement because we had no brass. So we had no choice but to just play choruses. And I vowed when I used to play dances at Yale, we played hours at a stretch, and invariably we'd stay in the same key because the leader didn't know. We were all boys put together for that evening, and we didn't know each other the night before. Many times we would just put together for the evening, and nobody knew how to go from one chorus to another. Nobody knew where to make the chord change to go from F to G. And we'd sit there for F, and I fell asleep half the time because playing in one key for an hour and a half is like being in a room with everything in one color. I vowed if I ever had an orchestra, we would never play two choruses in the same key.
On October 24th, 1929, the same day the U.S. stock market lost 11% at the opening bell, the Fleischmann Yeast Hour premiered on NBC at 8 p.m. It starred the man who would go on to become the country's first iconic radio pop star, Rudy Valley. Even as the stock market collapsed, the Galvin Manufacturing Corporation marketed an auto receiver for $130. In 1931, Plymouth made a sedan equipped with a Philco radio for no extra cost. But in 1932, sales of new cars fell by 75%. Automakers lost $191 million. Half closed down. It caused the luxury market to virtually disappear. The lower price segment of sales grew to 80% in 4 years.
Thank you, Mr. Thorgerson. That's pretty good from a man who doesn't even know me. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jack Benny talking and making my first appearance on the air professionally. By that I mean I'm finally getting paid, which of course will be a great relief to my creditors.
On the evening of May 2nd, 1932, you could have gassed up at a filling station, turned on your radio to NBC, and heard Jack Benny debut for Canada Dry Ginger Ale. You'd also have paid the new gas tax, 1 cent per gallon. A great many filling station workers would spend the next generation listening to Benny. In the early 1930s, gas stations grew 40%. Many of these new stations were done in a low-maintenance box style. They featured flat roofs with either stucco, terracotta, steel, or glass exteriors. Thanks to advances in electricity, they also had scientifically designed lighting schemes, making them familiar and easy to spot. That was important. There were now millions of cars on the road, and auto technology was rapidly expanding.
Texaco greets you from New York. The more than 45,000 Texaco dealers from coast to coast welcome you to another Texaco Star Theater performance on Broadway, heart of the World Theater. Tonight they present The Criminal Code, starring Burgess Meredith and Arthur Byron, with Helen Clare and a distinguished Broadway cast.
In the late 1930s, push-button AM radios became a car standard, and by the summer of 1939, more than 80% of the United States was covered by radio.
Here is a message of interest from your Texaco dealer. Ever been to an airport?
Petroleum companies were one of radio's major advertisers.
Skim along the runway and rise into the air.
Keeping tuned on long car rides was becoming a regular part of life.
That possible. And it was with the idea of capturing something like this smoothness of flight for your car, the Texaco engineers developed Sky Chief, Texaco's new premium gasoline. And with Sky Chief in the tank, you'll agree that they've given you just about the nearest thing to it in ground travel. Press the starter, and you're off with a rush of power, shifting from first to second to high.